Hello, I'm Atujama and you're watching Hornbill TV's Prime at 9. Now headlines. Under the aegis of the Naga Club, Naga Day was observed on Monday, January 10 in Kohima. Speaking during the occasion, T.N. Manan, a retired IAS and former Additional Chief Secretary of Nagaland, said that the Naga political journey began after drawing inspiration from submitting a memorandum before the Simon Commission. As India entered Omicron-driven third wave, Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital Medical Director informed of receiving 187 patients from Omicron through genome sequencing. Detained Myanmar State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi was sentenced to another 4 years in prison on Monday, the second round of verdicts against the ousted civilian leader. The Nobel Prize winner was found guilty of multiple charges. Ahead of Uttar Pradesh Assembly polls, PSP General Secretary Satish Chandra Mishra on January 11 clarified that party Supremo Mayawati will not contest Assembly polls. Former Chief Minister Mayawati and he will not contest the Assembly elections, Mishra said. The Odisha government increased the upper age limit for recruitment into state government jobs. The government has increased the upper age limit from 32 to 38 years for candidates applying for government jobs, said a press release. For ST, SC, social economically backward class and women, the maximum age limit is 43 years. For general persons with disabilities, the upper age limit is 48 years, and for SC, ST, SEBC, PWT candidates, it is 53 years. The government said. It further added that the government has been pleased to enhance the upper age limit for entry into government service from 32 to 38 years, only for the advertisements to be made during the calendar year, that is 2021, 2022 and 2023, which is relaxable in case of different reserved categories. To get more details on this and also to have a short discussion on this matter, we'll be joined by our colleague El from the newsroom.
Hello, Atu.
Okay, so thank you so much, El, again for joining us today. And before we get into the details of this, let us just run through, the background of this. So what do you think was the idea behind the government of India setting the age limit for 232?
Yeah, Atu. This is a very big news right now, especially in Odisha, and even in several states across the country, they have been observing the changes in Odisha, and the change in the limit that has been put on age for people who are looking for jobs in the government sector, especially. It is huge. The attention is tremendous. Technically, in India right now, only those people in the age group 18 to 35 are eligible to apply for jobs in the government sector. Now, something that I would like to share here. Technically speaking, this is also a form of discrimination. It's a discrimination by age. In progressive countries and communities such as the United States, the West, Europe, and even some countries in East Asia, for example, China, South Korea, and Japan, they don't have age limits like we do. Of course, there are exceptions too, but they don't have it in the way we have it in India. It's like you have to be 18, you have to be 57, you have to be 120 years to get this or that job. We have that kind of a criteria in India. Now, what the Odisha government is doing here is very interesting. Right now, I don't have hard data in regard to this or the mission statements of the Odisha government, why they increase the age limit. But Technically speaking, I believe that they want to retain the talent pool. First thing is that when you increase the age limit of a population in applying for a government job, then you're eliminating competition. India is a very populous country too, and when you set a limit on the age categories, then you are eliminating the competition. You are lessening the trouble for yourself here. And second is that there is a preconceived notion about why we have age limits in India. The first one is this. There is a generational preconceived notion that says youth are more talented, they are able to learn more, they are able to be more productive and contribute to a group or a company or the government more than people in the higher age groups. So these are this is one of the reasons why the government has age limits.
Right, also talking about the changes made here by the Odisha government, the changes are not just for one category, but the changes, the age limits are different in every category. For example, for the SC, ST and SEBC and women, the age limit has been increased to 43 years, when also for general persons with disabilities increased to 48 years, and also for specially able people in the SC/ST quota it's 53 years. So that's a lot of differences or increase in the age limits. So what do you think led to the Odisha government to take this step? And also considering the the employment rate in Odisha, what is also the employment rate in Odisha?
Odisha, just like any other state in the country, they have had a really tough year, especially during since the pandemic began. And when Odisha went into 2021, about 37 lakhs youths were unemployed, and when the pandemic broke out, 8 lakhs of Odisha youths lost their jobs too. And the population of Odisha is about 4 crore 37. So this is a huge number. So the reason why the Odisha government decided that they should increase the age limit for those seeking government job is that they wanted to retain the talent pool. Second, they want to recapacitate the talent pool that was already jobless or unemployed before, say, for example, the pandemic began, or even after the pandemic. They wanted to retain the talent pool from those who had lost their bread earners, for instance.
Exactly. So also, if the raise in age limit was implemented in Nagaland, do you think it would work? Also considering the fact that we are struggling with unemployment, do you think it would lessen the burden of unemployment in the state? Also keeping in mind the unethical appointment practices in the state.
Yes and no. Nagaland is a very complex state when it comes to appointments and unemployment. Right now, we don't have hard data except from the employment agencies and employment offices that there are about 70 to 80 youths in Nagaland who are unemployed. So, in reply to your question, the answer will be yes and no, both at the same time. Nagaland's population is about 2 million, and if you consider about the 70 to 80 lakh youths in Nagaland who are unemployed, that will be about 3%. So that is a big number if we consider the population. Now, we don't have hard data about the age groups. When you pass class 10, you are supposed to compulsorily submit an unemployment application to the employment office so that they will tell you are unemployed. So we are going by registrations. We don't know how many people are actually unemployed and what their age groups are, their demographics are. All we know is they are very young and they are within the 18 to 35 age groups. But I've had I've had talks with certain people in the community, government leaders, youth leaders, and student leaders, and there is an agreement that there are a lot of people in the age group 35 to 50 years. We're not talking about 18 to 30 or 40. We're talking about middle-aged men, middle-aged people who are unemployed in Nagaland. So if the government of Nagaland were actually to implement something which Odisha government has done, then I think yes, it might lessen the unemployment numbers to a small extent, not entirely, but to a considerable extent. But then again, here, I want to point out here that it's not the age limit. We can put it down to 15 years to apply for a government job. We can make it all the way to 300 years for one person to apply a job in the government. But it's not the age limit. It's the lack of employment opportunities. It's not the age limit. We don't have employment opportunities. So if the government were to actually make changes to the age limit and increase the limit, then the government will also have to get ready with employment opportunities for the youth too.
Right, thank you so much, El, for joining us today. That was quite informative and also insightful as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Atu.
Now moving on to the next news. A two-day march from January 10th to the 11th that started from the supermarket area at Dimapur to Kohima, demanding repeal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act and justice for the 14 civilians killed by Indian Army personnel in Mon district on December 4 and 5th in 2021 reached Raj Bhavan in Kohima today. The marchers submitted memorandum to the center through the governor of Nagaland. About 200 people from different walks of life participated in the walk, covering approximately 75 kilometers on foot from Dimapur to Kohima to express resentment against the draconian law. Ed Moza, president of the Konyak Union of Dimapur, said that due to the standard operation protocols, many people backed out, but a lot of people turned out to support the walk too.
And is overwhelming. Due to the SOP, the directives given by the government, a lot of people backed out, and it really, crushed our morale. But a lot of people danced. It turned out, and it was visible today. I don't have to explain much about that. And the response was pretty good, and we want to thank everyone. Those who could not make it also, you were there with us in spirit, and we want.
Sepipa Sangtam, Vice President of the Dimapur ENPU, said the people are for the repeal of the AFSPA, and unless justice is delivered, they will not remain silent even in the future.
We are against the repeal of AFSPA. Like, we are for justice. Until and unless the justice is not delivered, particularly Konyak and in general the Nagas, will never remain silent. That is our stand. Even in the days to come, until and unless if the justice is not delivered, we won't be sleeping, we won't be just roaming around. We will have to make a program one after another. That is our thoughts, even in the days to come.
Non-violence te ahato, mohan asol Christianity tu asade. Down raki gine, non-violence para mohan la oppressors kange fight pulungo kigine, non-violence para itu truest Christianity. That is what represents Jesus Christ. That is true Christianity. Asade, itu mui hikan hoy, believe itu aji ne janai dia se. Aji mohan, ini nga kurigine peacefully. Ini nga kurigine mohan nakurubo kurigine aku violence na cholawo kurigine. Ini nga utishe. The public has reason. The public has reason. The public has taken its true role. Public leadership to lushide. Aro mohan non-violence tenga utiado. How will India respond?
Under the aegis of the Naga Club, Naga Day was observed on Monday January 10 in Kohima. Speaking during the occasion, T.N. Manan, a retired IAS and former Additional Chief Secretary of Nagaland, said that the Naga political journey began after drawing inspiration from submitting a memorandum before the Simon Commission. However, he said today the nationalistic impulses among the Nagas and the feeling of oneness and goodwill towards each other, which was strong in the past, is now waning away, giving way to tribalism, intolerance, short-sighted conflict of interest and personal rivalries. Earlier, people forged strong unity with a feeling for one another and had sustained it for long, he said. However, today, as the people journey along, the fatigue syndrome has slipped in and the virus of disunity, divisiveness and intolerance has set in, Manin said. Also, Kyola Chale Siye, president of the Naga Club, said the group reaffirmed its commitment and mandate to work for the welfare of the whole Nagas and stand strong in its belief that differences or disputes arising out of hatred, lies, corruption, manipulation or bitterness will not be allowed to weaken and divide the Nagas. Wokha District's Deputy Commissioner Orentang Lotha on Tuesday, January 11, launched the COVID-19 vaccine for young people in the age group of 15 to 18 years. Reverend Abemo Chungyo, pastor in Wokha Town Baptist Church, dedicated the vaccine. Lotha said it is a historic day where, through the efforts of the government, the country is fighting the pandemic with constant research in medicines. He encouraged stakeholders and individuals to be responsible and to get vaccinated, as well as to advocate taking the COVID-19 vaccine so as to make the district a fully vaccinated district. He told school headmasters and principals to inform students and parents to get their children vaccinated, which he said will help students attend normal classes. Meanwhile, he informed the gathering that the district has so far reported no side effects from taking the vaccine. He asked beneficiaries to not listen to hoax news and messages, but to carry back home the message and encourage their friends to get vaccinated. He said that the COVID-19 virus has mutated and for which he has asked the people to get fully vaccinated. Women and children are undoubtedly categorized as the weaker sections of society, which makes them vulnerable to all forms of abuse. In this regard, Saki One Stop Center, an inception of the Government of India, has been actively rescuing and rehabilitating victims of various kinds of abuse. Our reporter Esther visited the OSC in Dimapur. Let's have a look at the report.
Saki One Stop Center, or OSC, is a centrally sponsored scheme under the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, which is funded through Nirbhaya Fund. In Nagaland, the State Resource Center for Women under the Department of Social Welfare is responsible to facilitate the implementation of the One Stop Center in the state and provides technical support to the district task force set up under the chairpersonship of the Deputy Commissioner. Saki One Stop Center Dimapur was established in the year 2016. It is the first OSC set up in Nagaland. The center has been actively engaged in assisting women and children in distress through legal assistance, police assistance, medical assistance, psychosocial support, and emergency shelter for up to 5 days. The center in Dimapur received a total of 72 cases in the last annual year, which is 2020 to 2021. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the One Stop Center in Dimapur assisted several women in need of care and protection. The team generated awareness about its services through online platforms. IECs in the form of posters were put up in quarantine centers and various localities. The center remained accessible for clients during the COVID crisis. The adverse situation of the pandemic caused lack of employment, economic scarcity, displacement, and others, further causing chaos, psychological problems, stress, and negative coping mechanisms such as alcohol abuse and others. These issues made women even more vulnerable to various forms of abuse. The maximum kind of cases received is women being abandoned by their families due to mental illness or old age. Saki One Stop Center endeavors to create a safe and progressive society for women. So we are here at Saki One Stop Center in Dimapur, and we have here Veri Meru, who is the center administrator. Saki One Stop Center is a scheme under the Department of Social Welfare, and they relate to helping women and rehabilitate women who have been affected by violence, and violence against women mostly, and also children, and regardless of caste, religion, or any race. So how often is violence committed against women, and how many cases do you have, on an average?
Okay, there are one-stop centers in all the districts of India. Even in Nagaland, there are one-stop centers in all the districts except the few new districts. And One-Stop Center Dimapur was the first one-stop center that was launched in Nagaland in the year 2016. Overall, since 2016, since inception till today, we have 323 cases. And the number of cases, it varies. Sometimes in a month we have about 4 to 5 cases. In average, we can say about 4 to 5 cases in a month. And sometimes we have even more, and sometimes a little lesser than. Sometimes we don't get cases also. Yeah. So like among the other districts in Nagaland, Dimapur receives the highest number of cases.
So what are these violence that are committed against these women? Do they come searching for you, or have they been reported and then you go and rescue them, or how does it work like?
Yes, our services are emergency, also non-emergency. Emergency in the sense we go and rescue the client, the lady, if she's in need of rescuing. And also like we have other services which are like I haven't mentioned, but they are medical assistance, police assistance, legal assistance, or emergency shelter up to 5 days. So if the client is in need of this kind of services, we also provide this kind of services to victims of violence. One case that we usually receive here is of mentally challenged women who are just in the streets, and sometimes tahana family kan they bring in such a mental state where they are able to listen to them, and then even the family is not capable of controlling them, or like, so they just end up in the streets. And then when they come to our center, we are also not in such a state where we cannot tie them and keep here.
So what happens to the mentally challenged children or women or person who come here? And of course, it's very challenging for Saki One Stop Center as well as the families to take care of such mentally challenged persons. So what happens in the end? What happens to them? Where do they go?
Okay, we had one such case where this lady, she is mentally challenged, and then she was brought to One Stop Center by women police. So we kept her here for a few days. We posted her picture in the social media, and then we were trying to contact her community, also the community leaders, but we were not able to trace her family for a long time. So she ended up staying here for about a month, and after that we were some of her like local guardians. She was like, she's not local, she's not Naga, so we were able to contact a family who were where she was living as a domestic help, and then after a month or so, we sent her back to them. So and then they were also not in a state to look after her, but since they have been keeping her since she was very young, so they accepted the responsibility. And
so Nagaland is such a place that when a crime is committed against women, or abuse or violence, it is so taboo for women to come out and say that they have been abused or of domestic violence or any of that sort. So how can we as the public or a state also get out of this mentality?
The present society is not like a decade back. Now the world has become such a place full of knowledge and full of information, and most people are like literate now. We are all aware of everything that's going around the world, and all kinds of information, even the rights and responsibilities. Everything is accessible, and we are all immersed in all kinds of knowledge about what is right and what is wrong. So as responsible citizens, as educated people, I think we should also change our mindset and stop living like our forefathers.
What are the main causes of human trafficking, according to your knowledge and what you've seen, throughout with Saki One Stop Center, whatever has come your way to this One Stop Center? What are the main reasons of this human trafficking? Is it luring them with, prospects of jobs, or mostly, or what is the main reason?
Okay, yeah, since there are less job opportunities in Nagaland, I think most youths are like tempted when they hear of a lucrative job outside of Nagaland, and that's how I think most people get trapped in the process. And also, I wanted to share one case of human trafficking. This girl, she's not local, she's not Naga, but she was living with a Naga family in Dimapur. So when she was about 14 years old, she met this guy who is not from Nagaland, and they fell in love. So she took her to Bihar on the pretext of marrying her. And so after when they went to Bihar, this man sold her to a brothel for 5,000 rupees, and she was there in that brothel for about 10 years, where she did all kinds of menial jobs, along with forced prostitution. And so she was living in that condition for about 10 years. And I think in the year 2021, 2021, an NGO along with the police, they raided the local red light area, and that's how she was rescued. And after she was rescued, she was taken to government shelter home, where she was living there for a period of about 1 year. And during that, she got education, and that's how she was, since she was already educated up to 9 standard, she prepared for her 10 standard there. And then when she came back to Nagaland, she appeared her exams, and she even got through. And yeah, that's one case of human trafficking.
In your opinion, Nagaland rehabilitation home, old age home, psychiatrists, counseling homes, should there be more of these in Nagaland, or do we have enough which is not being utilized properly, or do we need more professionals in these fields?
Okay, counseling, psychiatric help or mental health though is a very new topic for us Nagas, and many of us, we think that mental health is not important, or like it is not even a part of health, well-being, wellness. Many people are not familiar with the context, but it's a reality. Mental well-being is equally important for like a person's well-being. And yeah, I think it's very much any professional counseling centers can be kumti ase, or hardly there are any. So it can be thakile bal, a person is in need of depression depressed or he's in some kind of trouble, then I think there is no shame in seeking help.
For any emergency assistance, one can call the Women Helpline at 181 or 9485239094 for Dimapur district. That's all we have for now. Keep watching Hornbill TV.